I've spent over 12,000 hours in Path of Exile. I didn't think another ARPG could surprise me. But then I tried Last Epoch, and 10 minutes in, I was hooked. So let me take you through what grabbed me, what I struggled with, and what I learned as a complete beginner. It all started with my first character. I picked Rogue, and her starting skill felt really smooth. It strikes in rapid bursts, and if enemies are nearby, they all take damage. Just the way it felt made me want to keep playing. Then, around level 4, something unexpected happened. Skill specialization. That's when it clicked. Every skill in this game has its own upgrade tree. And not just simple stat boosts. These trees completely transform how a skill behaves. For example, here is the skill tree for Flurry, the one I mentioned earlier. If you take the Shockwave node, each attack gains a wider area, letting you hit more enemies at once. Another early skill is Puncture, which naturally pierces through enemies. But if you specialize it and take this node, it fires 3 projectiles instead of 1. But as a downside, it will cost more mana. There are tons of unique skills in this game I could talk about. But easily one of the most satisfying is Erasing Strike. Just look at how this thing works. But here's where it gets really impressive, the synergy between skills. They don't just work on their own, they can trigger each other. For example, on this character, I'm using 5 different skills, and they all interact. My main damage comes from Shadow Cascade, but I don't need to cast it manually. It's triggered automatically when I use my movement skill, or even when I activate Lethal Mirage. Everything flows together, like a combo system you build yourself. Both Lethal Mirage and Shift allow me to trigger Shadow Cascade, not just from me, but from my shadows too. And speaking of shadows, let's talk about my Ascendancy, which is what Last Epoch calls Mastery. I choose the Blade Dancer. Think of it like Shadow Clone Jutsu. You summon these clones, and when you use specific skills, they use them too. That means double, triple, even quadruple the damage, all at once. It feels insanely satisfying. Build progression in Last Epoch feels great. And no, it's not just because of crafting, it's the loot system that keeps you moving. Even without crafting, monsters drop upgrades constantly. It feels rewarding, and that's rare in ARPGs.
Nice.
There are 7 item rarities: Normal, Magic, Rare, Exalted, Set, Unique, and Legendary. Unlike in PoE, normal items are trash past the early game. Most builds chase exalted gear in endgame. And if a unique item fits your build, the legendary version, which adds exalted modifiers to that unique, is usually your best in slot. That system gives you tons of ways to optimize your gear. Now, about crafting. This was my first pain point. Most guides start too advanced, which makes no sense through the eyes of a beginner. So instead, here are some simple tips to help you start crafting without the overwhelm. I dropped this magic ring with 2 stats I needed, and I could easily add 2 more by using affix shards. These shards can drop from monsters, or you can extract them from other items that already have those affixes. Once you have the shards, you just apply them to your item, and you can even upgrade their tier. But every time you craft, it uses something called forging potential. Think of it like the item's durability for crafting. When it becomes 0, you can't modify that item anymore. There's also a crafting material called Glyph of Hope. It gives you a 25% chance to not consume any forging potential when you craft, which is the most impactful, and you will use it a lot. Now, how do you get more affix shards? There are 2 main crafting runes. Rune of Removal works like an annulment orb. It removes 1 random stat from an item and gives you all its shards, depending on its tier. Then there's Rune of Shattering, which completely destroys the item, but gives you a chance to get shards from all of its affixes, though it's not guaranteed. There's a lot more depth to crafting, but if you're just getting started, this is more than enough to get you going. But one more thing to know: exalted items have the highest crafting potential compared to rare or magic items, which makes them the most valuable gear when it comes to crafting. That means as you reach endgame, rare and magic items start to lose their value, and you'll eventually want to hide them using a loot filter. Speaking of that, unlike Path of Exile, you don't need a loot filter to start playing. I only felt like I needed one when I reached the endgame. And oh my god, nothing feels worse than blindly copying someone else's filter and hiding loot without even understanding why it's being hidden. That's why I highly recommend, especially for beginners, don't use a loot filter right away. Read modifiers, explore the game, learn what's valuable. Now let's talk about loot filters and what I think you should actually do. The default filter in this game is already colorful and readable. It's not like Path of Exile where a mirror of Calandra drops and it looks like a portal scroll. In Last Epoch, the system makes sense, but here's the key part, every line in your filter is processed in order. The rules at the top override the ones below. For example, let's say I'm level 25 and I don't care about normal or magic items anymore. My first rule can just hide all normal and magic items based on rarity. After that, I can hide specific base types. Maybe I'm playing melee and I don't want to see any offhands or wands, so I filter those out too. I'm also playing rogue, so I can hide gear meant for other classes. But here's where it gets interesting. If I tell my filter to show all uniques, sets, legendaries, or exalted items and put that rule above the others, it will still show uniques from other classes I've already hidden, because that rule takes priority. That's why the order of your rules really matters. Now, what about customizing it for your build? You can recolor items that have special affixes related to what you're playing. This depends on your build, so you'll need to learn what stats are important and highlight items based on that. Later, when you want the absolute best items, you'll want to highlight all exalted items with any tier 7 affix, or those with 2 tier 6 affixes. These are drop-only items, you can't craft them, since crafting only goes up to tier 5. That's the foundation of any good item filter. From there, you can keep adding rules to make it more specific. And anytime you drop something you don't want to see, you can tweak the filter and tell it to hide that item next time. Understanding your filter is key, don't just copy-paste someone else's setup. But if you do, make sure to read through it and check if it actually works the way you want it to. There's one thing about this game that I really like, you never feel lost, as long as you follow one simple rule. If you don't know what to do or where your quest is, just open the map, press shift a few times, and look at the left side of your screen. It shows every quest you need to complete. And the best part, every time you enter a zone, the game actually shows you where to go and marks the right path. That's insanely helpful for new players. After all, it's an ARPG, not a puzzle game. I'm here to kill monsters, not play board games. The game can be played both offline and online, but that's not the cool part. What really stands out is the faction system. There are 2 factions, one supports trading, and the other, called Circle of Fortune, heavily boosts item drops for solo self-found players. That alone makes this the most SSF-friendly ARPG I've ever played. My favorite hardcore SSF game used to be Grim Dawn, but once I get better, I'm definitely trying HC SSF in Last Epoch. I've played all my runs offline so far, so let's talk about the Circle of Fortune faction. Think of it as a juicing mechanic. The more points and ranks you get in this faction, the better and more valuable loot you'll find. One of the best ways to trigger loot explosions or target farm specific item types is through prophecies, which come from this faction. One of my favorite setups is using 2 lenses to block monolith and non-monolith mechanics. That way, I only get general quests with big loot rewards. The combination of this system, plus the option to play offline, makes the game perfect for SSF and hardcore. Another reason it works so well is the Weaver's system, an endgame tree designed for juicing. It has specific nodes for imprinting items, meaning, when you kill monsters, they'll drop loot more likely to resemble the item you've imprinted. To earn points in the Weaver's tree, all you need to do is run one of the gate-like maps, pick up the device at the end, and use it to put maps called Woven Echoes. Each type of Woven Echo you complete gives you a point to invest into the tree. I'm currently playing a level 91 Shadow Cascade in endgame and have spent over 100 hours in the game, and I can say one thing for sure, the future of this game is bright. The amount of respect it shows for your time is unbelievable. Imagine a game without phasing bosses, no more reflect or death effects, no identifying items just to find out they're trash. Even leveling a second character is smooth. Once you unlock your mastery, you can teleport straight to endgame. Though I still recommend doing the quests for skill points and idle slots. This game doesn't hate you, it respects your time and effort, and honestly, it deserves love. I'm truly thankful to those who supported and gifted me this game, it means a lot.
Thank you.
As for the next video, I'm not sure yet, maybe a Zero to Hero series for this build, maybe a completely new build, or maybe I boot up Warframe and give you my take on it. I'm also planning to try Elden Ring, and once I get the game, I'll drop a video about that too. There's a lot more I could say about Last Epoch, but for now, we're out of time. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, leave a comment, or share it with another exile, or all of them. See you in the next one.
Roger.